Where did you go to school?
And here's your name.
What do you think of what's going on right now, mate?
These evil little invisible parasites.
Satan-worshipping Freemason morons.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not run by factions.
Get the fuck out of camera!
There are much more powerful international forces in play.
Is this pink eye? Is this what pink eye is? I don't fucking know what's happening.
I had to actually Google it, neo-Nazi men.
Please go outside and look at the moon quickly.
It's been crazy, guys, but guess what? It's how it is, mate.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
Well, I ain't spending any time on it.
G'day, patrons, and welcome. Welcome to our Overflow, our weekly overflow of all the big stuff that didn't make it into the program. Not that it's trivial or petty or trite.
No.
Just because it's really, really important. It's also, in this particular case, catching up with stuff that really hadn't happened when we recorded the Conditional Release Program. And it's really huge news around Scott Morrison, the Minister for Everything. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that at length. But to kick our overflow off, there's a brief cooker update. There always is.
It has been a huge week for cookers who managed to score the own goal of the fucking century by protesting outside a children's hospital.
Yeah. Why not?
What? So one cooker who I think had a microphone, I don't know, I'm vaguely keeping an eye on this, made the incredible observation that there was an ambulance driving by and claimed this is happening a lot. Which it does happen a lot outside children's hospitals.
Hospitals generally and children's hospitals in this particular case.
Just tend to have them. I don't know. Fucking weird, huh? So people told stories of being harassed viciously by idiots on their way into the hospital with their children. Bastards. One of them was without the children who was saying it would have been so traumatic with the child. Either way, it went from basically like fear to sadness to rage. And, like, this is, like, the last time they did this sort of shit. They started yelling at homeless people outside of Vinnie's. And they just thought, how can we be more evil? How can we fucking pull this off?
I know. Children's hospitals.
Oh, it's perfect. It's basically the worst thing you could possibly do. So I'm just going to say that this has backfired and I'm finding it fun to watch. But I do have full respect for the stories because they are awful. The emotions recounted in these videos, telling the experience, dealing with the cookers. They had, one on Neil Mitchell's 3AW. She was fuming. She swore at one point, which I imagine was a bit reserved on the radio. But hey, let it fly, right? And they were just making fucking pigs of themselves in the actual path of sick children seeking treatment for often awful diseases like fucking like cancer and shit. Mm-hmm. But while I don't take joy in any of what's going on here, what's done is done, and it is nice to see these idiots couple hiding in public because they need to be demonized. They need to realize that they are the villains of this story. They always
to be marginalized. They need to be seen to be marginalized.
They need to realize that this is not the way they're going to play out their hero narrative. It's actually bad for them, and they need to stop.
It's bad. It's bad for the public. It's bad for sick children.
It's bad for sick children. Imagine, that sentence shouldn't be said. So, I'm not downplaying how genuinely awful this is by relishing in the fact that the cookers have screwed themselves. Because, fuck, man. In one story that I posted to a Facebook group I won't talk about, but apparently one child passed away not long after the protest, or maybe just around the sort of time where it's quite reasonable to believe that the family was saying goodbye to a child next to their bed with a backing sound of fucking morons screeching about vaccines and pedophiles. And this is the thing, they should be held accountable. There should be some kind of accountability for this. Like if a left-wing protest went this off-piste, the leaders would be rolling in their own graves.
Anyone in general society. Look, it needs to be a name and shame exercise.
I totally agree.
Who are these clowns involved? Do we know any names? I guess Sandy and Sauce will know.
Oh, it'll just be the usual fucking suspect. That's the sort of the general thing. It's the usual suspect. But at the same time, and Sandy and Sauce will know who's specifically involved. I tend to mash all the cookers up into one big fleshy blob because, to be honest, I just focus on what they do that's funny. I don't necessarily focus on who they are because their little cult of personality bullshit, I'm not interested. There's a few main players that I focus on specifically personality-wise, is Monica, Avi, those sort of guys, because they're really, really funny because of their personality. And otherwise, it's just a blurry mess of cooked idiots who like to yell pedophile buildings. And, That's that. And to me, this is just another blurry mess of fucking morons who yell pedophile buildings that have sick children dying of cancer in them.
Well, we've also got an episode here, Joel, of sovereign citizens having abducted and kidnapped a child.
Yeah, and that's not good. I mean, I'm going to have a look at this in the news section, the main episode. Like, Sandy and Soz alerted to this ages ago in our private sort of chat.
Yes.
And they've been following it really closely. I want to make sure we get it right. I'm going to check out what Tom Tanuki said. They were saying that his video is really good, so check that out.
Yes, I've seen the video. Yes, it's
it
available on my Twitter feed. Well, and so obviously Tom's as well, yeah.
I think I've retweeted it, but it's one of those empty retweets where, you know, I haven't actually fucking listened to it. But this is the thing, you know, like it's this escalation in this Sovsit family court crossover.
Yes,
And
yes.
how this plays out, I think, is going to really dictate the gumption of the next lot that decide that this kind of thing is a good idea. You know, a dad who feels like he's been wronged by the system and a few enablers who decide that, you know, okay, we're going to take this fucking kid and we're going to claim it's a corporation. I mean...
Well, we did see Monica during the week think she might have a lash at the Sovsit world and report back to her followers how it went.
Yes, that could be incredibly interesting. And I think we should include that as well. So
that's definitely in our Sovsits program.
Yeah, so that can take Sovsits.
Yes,
very
don't
good.
worry. I'm way ahead of you there, Joel.
Oh, good. Good. I'm very reassured. So the other thing that was really funny this week, and like I'm being a bit vague with this because I haven't really had any time to do any research, and this is what the Overflow is all about: vague assertions from someone who's generally telling you stuff. But Sandy, Alistair, and another guy I saw was tagged on there have discovered that Marnie Shishine, the Cooker's lawyer, who people might know name brand wise, but otherwise he represents Rebel News in heaps of stuff. All sorts of he's an anti-vax ambulance chaser at best of times. He's a fucking Freemason, or at least he was.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's the thing. That's why it's so beautiful.
Well, there is for cookers, but for the rest of us, no biggie.
Weirdos in robes giving each other hand jobs and shit. So after Dave O'Neig's proudly wheeled him out as his lawman, because like I don't think Dave's really had a lawyer before, and he's like, oh, I'll swing my dick for you. And they got him to send a Lucky Lance a cease and desist letter, which I think Dave got a real boner from. Turns out...
I saw the letter. It actually has no legal standing.
Oh, it's fucking dumb. It's incredibly stupid. But most of these cease and desist letters are meaningless. They're just these things of saying...
Exactly right.
Please stop doing what you're doing. I don't like it. And I'm gonna kick and scream. Fucking bullshit.
My client reserves all rights, which means, okay, well, let's see what you got.
What rights? What rights have you got? What are you going to sue for, idiot? His wife is a fucking barrister, you morons. Anyway, so when Dave was alerted to this, he absolutely shit himself. He saw a comment from Marnie, apparently, on this Telegram post he put up, who claims that not only he'd left the lodge, but he was later baptized, which has so many implications. Yeah. But I would say the first one is saying, I'm not Jewish, I promise. That's the vibe I got.
That's it. Because
that's
if he was a Freemason, he would not be a Catholic, and Catholics are baptized. But also, Protestants are baptized too. So that's
interesting.
Not relevant. Not a real. So Dave's gone. It's okay. He's been baptized, guys.
Exactly, which is the weirdest fucking thing, and it just I don't know. I smell anti-Semitism. You know, my anti-Semitic dog is barking. Woof woof. Unlike Lindsay, who was barking in the main episode. Fuck, that was annoying. So. Either way, I think this is really funny because Dave's finally out show ponying about having a lawyer and then utterly shits himself when someone goes up to him and just sort of goes, oh, yeah, about your lawyer. Who's his daddy and where did he go to school?
Who's your daddy?
Dada! Oh, fuck, that's great. That really warmed me up. I'll look into it further and I'll ask Sandy and Soz about it. It's great. I love it. And finally, Mr. William Bay has had his license stripped from him by APRA because he actually asked for it. What did he do? He interrupted some event and he's done all this bullshit and basically he's just gone, okay, my career is over. Can you help me out with this? And APRA's gone, yeah, I mean, we'll have a meeting. We'll talk about it. And then they went, yeah, no worries. We'll take your license. He's like, oh, thank you so much. I've got this crowd outside. They really want me to lose my license. So I really appreciate this. Thanks, guys. Vaccines are bad. I'll see you later. So this is the thing. This is about the detail that I know.
Prominent anti-vax doctor, we should call Mr. William. Now, Mr.
Yeah, Dr.
William,
Sorry, Mr. Yeah, exactly. It's very rake. It's very good. And this is we'll defer this to the main episode because I think it's really funny. But not only is it just the fact that the details I'm being really vague about and completely useless because I spent half an hour on this document, but also the fact that I think there is something we can do to dig around and see what this creep is up to. I think there's something sus about him. He's got huge incel vibes, and I think something's going to come out really soon.
We'll
like maybe on Reddit or something, someone who's worked with him. Someone has to have worked with this guy and been like, I need to tell the internet what a fucking creep this guy is. It's already shown on some public records that I've found that he's a libertarian douchebag from way back. These side of people do tend to fuck up and make noise in places where people are listening, and I'm hoping someone does and recounts them. But either way, this whole thing about straight up just asking to ruin your career, it's
and
got
then fundraising,
layers.
and then fundraising out of it. You know,
But I mean, like, you as a doctor, you've got to be on like 200K easily.
No, not
and
always.
I mean, you know,
GP's 80. Start at about 80.
Oh yeah, maybe starting. I tell you what, fundraising goes well, and he might get that over the journey. He's not going to make that much money. One of the things that I'm going to say though, and I'm not sure about this, it's based on nothing, is that he has huge incel vibes, and he may be doing this to get laid. And if he is, you know what? I hope you do.
That could be defamatory. The fact that he's not getting laid could be defamatory, Joel.
Well, you know, let's face it.
And I want no part of it. So, Mr. William Bay, I didn't say it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And just in case you're looking for a quid, because you will be looking for a quid somehow, and think an easy pay comes through a defo, I've already set up my defences right here.
And you're going to sue the wrong person, because I've already consulted legal advice on defamation, and generally speaking, I'm going to be a complete chicken shit and apologise and retract to anyone who asks. So come on, ask me. I'll retract and apologise. If that's what gets you off, fucking go for it.
Doesn't always work that way, but we're going to push cookers aside. Go away for a moment as we examine Australian politics and Scott Morrison's, how would we describe it? Everyone I've heard from constitutional experts down have reached for the thesaurus and sought synonyms for astonishing, bizarre, inexplicable, perplexing, bewildering, befuddling, staggering, startling, breathtaking, totally fucking amazeballs. It's all of that and more.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a black pill fuckwit quote, Jack, but Joel, in fact. This is not a black pill fuckwit quote. But who said this? I can't speak for what is known and not known by those asking me questions about what they know or don't know about the operation of that act.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Richard Nixon, Henry Kissinger. Yeah.
Well, similar. I think similar. Well,
similar vibe.
You know, from the street corner psychologist's point of view, very similar personalities. But it was in fact former Prime Minister Scott Morrison.
I always get them wrong. It's so frustrating. I always try, but I fail.
Yeah, but look, he was addressing the issue of why he was secretly 5 ministers in the cabinet.